Hi everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady checking in with a mid-August native garden tour. Next to me is Monarda punctata, horse mint, and it is in full flower. It is covered in wasps and bees that look intimidating but aren't. They are not interested in stinging me at all. They're just gathering nectar. And though these self-seeded in a really stupid place, I simply can't deny the joy of having them growing, and just gonna, well, get over myself and enjoy that they are alive and well and doing their job. All right, let me turn this camera around and give you an up-close view. So here we are. It's splayed. The rain has made it look even more awkward, but the pollinators don't care, and at some point I just gotta take a step back, recognize that this is the point. You know, seeing activity like this is the entire reason for building these gardens and diving in and learning more about this native plant palette and the idiosyncrasies of growing them. And it's just so cool to see so much diversity represented that this one particular type of bee balm offers. Now, I keep saying it, but remember, this has not been reliably perennial for me. It's a self-sower, and in the future, I will do a better job of digging up the seedlings and moving them more strategically so that it isn't like that, making the edge of the border really awkward. But for now, I'm just enjoying it. This is basically as entertaining as watching the butterflies on the phlox. And as you can see, the Rudbeckia triloba is blooming really well, at least the ones that the deer haven't eaten. And oh, look, we've got a beautiful malva relative whose name is escaping me. But I got this at the North Carolina Botanical Garden native plant sale, and it's really spectacular. I need to gather seed from that. Cephalanthus are doing their thing. The native hollies are berrying really well. The Rudbeckia maxima the seeds are getting eaten by the yellowfinches, which is precisely the point. It's like everything is happening correctly. And got another flush on the native Spirea alba here. I did do some cutbacks on this because I'm a little intimidated by the amount of seed set and how every single seed germinates. It's a pretty effective plant. Pleased to see that that this redbud is in fact still alive after being broken by the deer, but I need to get in here and stake it so that it grows appropriately. I've got some pretty serious maintenance to accomplish in these borders, starting with mowing these edges. So need it to be a little bit drier, otherwise my lawnmower is going to kind of scream and holler. I do wish that I had put these salvias further in the bed because they're just out of scale for being on the edge, but I simultaneously like that I can just walk right up to them. This is Salvia azurea. Planted next to it is Rudbeckia subtomentosa Henry Eilers, which has these awesome quilled petals. And you can see asters are really starting to get lots and lots of flower buds on them. The muley grasses are really starting to bulk up, and when these are in bloom, it's going to be spectacular. And I think a lot of this will be in flower for the fall open garden, which is scheduled for Saturday, September 20th from noon to 4 p.m. It is free, no registration, rain or shine. We are going to have a native plant sale, and muley grass will be available at that sale in landscape plug form. So I've not ordered any material larger than landscape plug, and I think my prices are really, really good. This is an excellent opportunity to be able to buy a wide diversity of native plants in a size that's really easy to plant, that establishes really quickly. They are going to be $5 a plug, 6 for $20, or a tray of 32 for $100. And honestly, that is maybe even less than wholesale pricing. My goal with this is to make these plants available to the people that visit, because normal home gardeners don't have access to this size of plant material. And I think if you're interested in building native borders, landscape plugs really are your best bet. So I'm really just doing this plant sale as a means of getting quality plant material into all of your hands, knowing that when you're doing a border like this, you need a lot of plants, and it's not always cost effective to do that with 1 gallon material. So I do hope that you'll plan to attend. We have some other events scheduled as well, and I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the description. So if you can't make it to the open garden, we have 4 classes scheduled, including an awesome sip and stroll garden tour on Saturday, August 30th. That's only $25 a person, and I promise you it will be a fantastic event. Here in the east meets west border, the Carex lorida are looking good, along with the Pycnanthum muticum, that native mountain mint. You can see this stand of muley looks great, but I'm really excited to show you the Scutellaria incana, which already flowered abundantly. I cut the seed heads off, and look, we're getting a fantastic second flush of blooms. And you see there's a bee visiting that, but then look at all the pollinator activity on the mountain mint. And again, just like that Monarda, this is the point of growing Pycnanthemum, all species, but especially Pycnanthemum muticum. It is a pollinator magnet, got a ton of diversity, the insects that are visiting this right now. And well, it just makes my heart filled with joy to see this. Mission accomplished. Well, I did some gentle cutbacks here yesterday on the pollinator pocket bed, and it's looking pretty good. Happy to see that the solidago, which is taking up a lot of real estate, is blooming and looking quite nice. Got some more flowers on this gaillardia. Salvias are starting to come back to life, and actually these other salvias, which I got at Memorial Day weekend, have really started to fill in. And that red one is a hybrid, and then that is Salvia leucantha, which is Mexican sage. And you know, overall this bed just continues to kind of be a work in progress, an experiment. This bed is officially 3 years old. I planted it 3 years ago today, and it's changed a lot. But that's what happens in the garden. Things keep evolving. Well, walking out back, I'm really happy with this fern border, which has some non-natives in it as well. The catnip just shows up. I think the cats plant it. I have some different epimediums. I'm not really sure where that curcuma or turmeric came from. I guess actually probably a pot where there was a root in it, because we dumped a lot of the containers in here last year to build up the soil base. But this bed has definitely filled in really great, considering it's not even been planted a year. This got planted on, I believe, December 30th. And though the perennials aren't getting as much light as they would need for ideal growing, they certainly haven't died. But my plan is that I will dig out a lot of these perennials, and I'll fill the rest of this bed in with ferns. That's the one thing I haven't ordered yet for the fall open garden, are the ferns, but it is on my to-do list for today. And I haven't taken you through the woodland in a long time, because to be honest, I haven't come back here. But the juncus is holding this edge, and the Carex musking immensis certainly appreciates this condition because it's an actual swamp. You know, I've pretty well lost interest back here. I'll just go ahead and be totally frank about it. And I've lost almost every deciduous azalea that got planted back here between deer, and then when it's dry, this is very dry, but then when it's wet, it's very wet. It's just quite awkward. But the things that are doing well are doing great, and I'm so pleased to see these large leaf magnolias are surviving. And I can take these cattle fence panels down when they get a bit taller, but it's an issue that the deer really like to bother these. Yeah, it's not what my dreams are made of, but it's better than what it was, and what it was predominantly invasives, things like privet and poison ivy. And so what is planted in here and the deer aren't eating is certainly a success compared to what it could be. Again, this is not going to be an area that I encourage people to come walking through, because the pathway got washed, and it continues to wash as we get more and more heavy rain, and just proving to me that I'm not in control. I'm not in the driver's seat. I'm literally a passenger. But I wanted to take this approach so that you can see this part sun native border, and what a nice way this is filled in along the fence line. This is, you know, planted the end of June in 2024, so it's just over a year old. This was all landscape plugs. These were all the leftovers from the spring open garden of 2024, and I'm over the moon with how this planting has come out. I definitely wish the whole yard was part shade, so it would be a lot easier. And I do need to do some weeding, and it is on my list, and I'm not going to get to it for at least a few more days, but I do plan to have this looking in tip-top shape to inspire everybody that comes out for the open garden. And I have ordered quite a few of the plants that are in this border, so that people can then kind of, you know, at least replicate the taxa, you know, things like this Rudbeckia and that Agastache, and, you know, some of the really successful Carexes. And I'm really excited for this open garden in particular, because, you know, we didn't really get to do what we normally do in the spring, and well, I'm hoping that this one will be a big success, and that lots of people will be able to come out and get inspiration and get ready for fall planting, because this is the best season for planting in the South. Well, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this week's weekly garden tours right here from my gardens in Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina. And I do hope you'll be able to come out to one of our events, the Sip and Stroll on August 30th, the Open Garden on September 20th, and I will post the link for all of the other classes that we are hosting through the end of the year. Well, as always, thanks so much for watching, and happy gardening, everybody.